welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Christina Previtt. I am the lead faculty for clinical management of the fitness, athlete, pregnancy, and postpartum. And I'm really excited to introduce you to Kelsey Valentine. She's the assistant faculty with me for the clinical management course. She's also an internal pelvic floor physiotherapist. She works with me actually at Stave Off, which is super exciting because it means that I can do a formal introduction of her for the podcast. This is the first time she is on, so she's a little nervous, so make sure you guys are nice to her. Before I let her take it away with some of the newest research on reducing low back pain and preventing low back pain in pregnancy, I just wanted to let you guys know that on Monday, we are starting our next cohort of the online version of clinical management of the fitness, athlete, pregnancy, and postpartum. I really need to find an acronym for that. Pregnancy and postpartum course, it's pretty long. But if you guys are working with women who are either going through their pregnancy or in postpartum, which I would probably argue is almost every woman, a lot of women sometimes in their lives, I think it's like over 75% of women are gonna have a child sometime in their life, then this course is going to be applicable to you. All right, so if you guys want to sign up, you can go to ptonice.com/online courses and sign up for January 13th. All right, I'm going to let Kelsey take it away, and we'll see you guys in the next week or so. Okay, bye.
All right, thanks, Christina. And don't mind me, like she said, it's my very first time doing this. Normally I can take as many takes as I want to get the right take, but this is live, so it's a whole new ball game for me. But she's right, so I'm going to be talking to you today about how exercise can play a role in either preventing or reducing the severity of low back pain during pregnancy. So I have some exciting research from the last couple years that I have found and I'll be bringing to you today. So as we know, low back pain during pregnancy is a massive issue, both low back pain and pelvic girdle pain. So about half of women during their pregnancy will experience low back pain or pelvic girdle pain. And about a quarter of those people will go on to continue this low back pain for the next year after delivery. So although we know that low back pain can be a huge problem during pregnancy, I think that most people assume that that will go away once the baby is born. And for some it does, but for several this is not the case. So it's actually a huge problem, and it's something that we as physios can play a really huge role in if we are educated in how to help these people. And so these women, it's not just mild low back pain that they're experiencing. Usually it's being rated as moderate to severe, so it can be quite debilitating for these women. Also, we know that having low back pain or pelvic girdle pain can be a huge barrier to exercise during pregnancy. So of course, if someone is experiencing a high severity of pain, they are much less likely to be participating in regular physical activity that is recommended. So we now know that exercise is considered safe to be doing during pregnancy, barring any sort of red flags or contraindications. And it's recommended for just about anyone who isn't having some of those red flags. So regardless of if you've been an exerciser before or not, you should be exercising during your pregnancy, and you can begin at any point in your pregnancy. So that's the good news. So now it's really important that we should be recommending exercise to our patients as physiotherapists. And if people are having low back pain, then they're much less likely to engage in this. So we really have to ensure that we're getting people involved in exercise as well as we can. Now, it's interesting because we're finding that with low back pain, there's a lot that we can actually do to either prevent this or perhaps reduce the severity of it. So this is really where we as physiotherapists come into play, which is super exciting. So I've got a couple research studies here that I found. The first one is in the British Medical Journal, and it's a systematic review and meta-analysis by Davenport and his colleagues published in 2018. So I can link these research articles to you guys. So the first one, the Davenport study that I was looking at, it did not reduce the odds of low back pain in those who were physically active during pregnancy, but it did find that physical activity in a variety of different formats will reduce the severity of pelvic girdle pain and also low back pain during pregnancy. And the methods by which they found exercise, because it was a systematic review of meta-analysis, there was a variety of different types of exercise. So it's multimodal. It's not just strengthening. It's not just aerobic exercise. There's a variety of different types of exercise. But those were their main findings, which is great for us and great for buy-in for our clients. The second article that I looked at was a meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials by Sheary and colleagues in 2017. And again, I can link this one in the show notes. Is that a thing?
Yes.
And so this article found that exercise actually appears to reduce the risk of developing low back pain by a modest extent. So it said that there was a 9% reduction in low back pain in those who were exercising. It also found that it reduced the amount of sick leave that people were taking from work, which obviously is really important for productivity and also just for the woman's sake if they're hoping to work throughout their pregnancy. But it did find that exercise in terms of these studies had no effect on pelvic girdle pain. So the consensus between these two studies that I'm finding is a bigger effect with low back pain. And given the benefits that exercise can offer, even though this is just a modest decrease in low back pain, it's certainly worth it to get these women exercising. So the modes of exercise in this group of randomized controlled trials was very variable and not necessarily always high level exercise. So they had things such as water gymnastics, sitting pelvic tilts, energy expenditure exercises, whatever that may be, probably cardiovascular exercises, strengthening exercises like ab exercises, hamstring exercises, spinal muscle exercises, low impact gymnastics like strengthening, a combination of three of strengthening, aerobics, stretching, relaxation, flexibility and endurance, resistance exercise, and balance, and also pelvic floor muscle training. So all of these types of exercises were included in the studies. And it was a difference between the lowest level were 8 weeks of training and the highest was 24 weeks of training. Most of them sitting around the 12-week mark for these studies. So what I find interesting about this is that most of these are not high level exercises and they're not necessarily pushing our clients to the extent that we may be able to push them. So I would love to see more research about this. I'd love to know if we can look at something like a CrossFit athlete or a higher level fitness athlete who we can test barbells and higher intensity running, skipping, things that they can do. And of course, we're going to tailor these as the pregnancy goes on. But what kind of differences would we find if we had someone deadlifting 150 pounds versus perhaps doing a bird dog? So I'm really looking forward to what the future of research is going to hold for this. I really hope that we'll be able to find a lot more and be able to support that exercise can hopefully prevent as well as reduce the severity of low back pain during pregnancy. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you have any questions, you can ask Christina or I, and we're looking forward to the course.
Yeah, so that is kind of our commentary for today. So in regards to low back pain around pregnancy, I think the general ideology around why it's developing is because women tend to be less active than they were before. Makes sense. Our body is really changing. We have the onset of hormonal changes, including relaxin, which is giving us a decrease in ligamentous stability and an increase in the demand on some of the musculature around the pelvis and around the low back. That is also under an increased demand with the stretching of the abdomen to make room for the developing fetus. And so all of these things can create almost like a perfect storm in regards to low back pain, and it does take time for us to come back. And so a combination of increasing stress on the body, changes in hormonal profile, as well as a decrease in exercise intensity, which leads to, at least in a short period of time, a relative amount of deconditioning, can create a vulnerability to things like pelvic girdle pain and low back pain, as Kelsey had alluded to. And so thinking about the exercise prescription piece, we want to respect where a woman's body is, but we also want to make sure that we are applying things like specificity and progressive overload in order for us to be doing the best that we can, despite the fact that potentially we just don't have the same level of literature and research to support some of our decisions, just because it hasn't been done. And even this week, Kelsey and I have seen OBGYNs saying that you should never lift more than 15 pounds, 20 pounds during your pregnancy, which for many women with toddlers is just not necessarily a realistic expectation. And if you can deadlift 200 pounds off the ground, 20 pounds is not really a big deal. So we're seeing a shift, but that shift is still coming and needed. And so, just kind of thinking about the fact that we do know that exercise can help with to prevent and reduce the severity of back pain in pregnancy. And then trying to use our clinical reasoning, especially if we're working with an athletic population, to think, is what we're doing enough? Is there enough intensity there for us to be driving change for somebody who is already fairly strong? Alrighty, so again, if you guys are interested in joining our online cohort, we start on Monday. Emails have already been sent out. We're starting to do introductions. All the intensity and energy is starting to go up, so we're super, super excited. Also, if you guys are looking for any of our other online offerings, a lot of our courses have started in the last week or two, but we have a bunch of online courses starting again in March, including our cohort, as well as Clinical Management of the Fitness Athlete Advanced Concepts starts Monday and in March. Essential Foundations has started, but it's also going to be starting again in March. And so if you guys missed out on the opportunity this month, you should definitely think about doing it in the spring. Thanks, Addison. Happy Friday. And we will see you guys in a little bit. Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.